Danny Flexen here for Seconds Out with Joe Cordina, of course. Joe, you got a big fight next week. Gavin, Gwynne. What can you tell us about him? I don't know a great deal about him myself.
6 foot. We were in the same gym, but it was pretty like a weird one because I was obviously on the GB squad for 7.5 years. So when I was home on the weekends, some weeks I'd have really intense weeks, so I'd have some of the weekends off. So I'd only see him down there now and again. We never sparred in that gym. And I can only recall sparring him once in 2015 before the European Championships. But yeah, he's tough, 6 foot, comes forward. That's all I really can tell you about him.
Sounds ideal for your style.
Perfect. If you're 6 foot and you're gonna come onto me, you're playing into my hands. So yeah, it works in my favour, I think.
And Eddie Hearns talks about you fighting the likes of Francisco Patera later this year, the guy who beat Lewis Ritson, of course. You don't want to look too far past Gavin Gwynne, I know, but is that a fight you thought about and that you'd like for the European title?
I've got to get through next Saturday first, like you said. You answered your own question, but obviously I want to pick up as many belts as I can along as long as my career goes. So my eventual goal is to be a world champion, and obviously I can't look past Saturday.
Talking of that being your eventual goal, particularly at lightweight as well, you've got Luke Campbell, Vasiliy, Lomachenko next week. How far away do you feel you are right now from that kind of level?
I've got to take fight by fight because it all depends on opponents and everything else. Got to take the right fights at the right time, and as you're improving, and obviously Tony makes the sort of final decision of who we're fighting and everything else. But he'll always come to me and ask me what do I think, and we make that sort of decision together, but he has the final say. So it's really, if he thinks I'm improving and thinks I'm not that far away, then I trust in Tony.
If you were in the Luke Campbell corner for that fight, what would you advise him to do? What are the best tactics against someone like Lomachenko, as hard as that is?
I don't know, it's easier said than done, isn't it?
Bring a gun into the ring, maybe.
I don't know. He will make it tricky. Luke's a very talented fighter, and he got all the attributes to beat him. But it's whether he can be switched on for the whole 12 rounds and take it to that next level where he haven't been before yet. And yeah, but he's got all the attributes. It's just whether he can turn up on a night and perform.
Is Lomachenko someone you admire or did admire on the way up as an amateur, maybe as well?
I admire him still. He's pound for pound best in my opinion. It's him and Canelo, my favourite fighters, and when I started boxing, even in amateurs, he was someone I watched. I started in 2007, 2008 Olympics, I watched him. The main ones were him, Frankie Gavin and James DeGale. Obviously Frankie Gavin didn't make the Olympics then, but he was always someone I watched. And he was just unbelievable, and he had everything, and I just tried to learn as much as I could just off watching him on YouTube and everything else. And then a couple of years later, I see myself sat next to him in weigh-ins in World Championships, and then now I'm on the same bill as him on his undercard, and he's pound for pound best in the world.
Imagine you ended up fighting him one day.
Yeah, it's not impossible, is it?
No, not at all. That'd be a bit of like dream fulfillment for you, wouldn't it?
Of course. Obviously, I need to be a world champion, and if he's got it, then and I have to fight him, then so be it.
Judging from what you've said about how much you admire Lomachenko and the task ahead of Campbell, it seems like you think it's a very tough task. To be fair.
Yeah, of course. At that level, like any of the world champions, it's a tough task to beat. Even Linares, I've sparred Linares. Luke Campbell have boxed Linares. He would have told you probably how hard that fight was and how hard it is to sort of get in and sort of outsmart someone like Linares, and trying to outsmart someone like Lomachenko is going to be even harder. Linares, even when I sparring him, you can just see the ring craft he has. His ring IQ is just next level, and at anyone at that level, I think they're very hard to beat.
In that case, is Campbell maybe a fight you'd fancy? Not in the next couple, but maybe next year or something, big British fight?
Like I said, I got to take fight by fights. So it's it just depends. Obviously, as I progress and when Tony thinks I'm ready, then we'll move on.
How much of a boost has it been for you so far training in this gym? A lot of people expected you to train back home or even up in Sheffield maybe alongside GB as you had done as an amateur. But you've come down here all the way to Essex, left your family behind, young family as we've talked about before. How much of a boost has it been for your progression so far getting to train not just under Tony Sims but alongside some of the great fighters that train with you here?
Oh, it's great. Back home in Cardiff or in Wales, there was no one that could take me to that next level, I believe. I wasn't learning anything, so I had to take myself out of my comfort zone. I've done it in the past with a GB setup, been in Sheffield for 7.5 years. It was an option for me to stay up there, obviously, but when I came down here and I only had literally 2 days, and me and Tony clicked straight away, and I knew he could take me to that next level, and I believe I've improved so much since I turned over, and not a lot of people would have thought I would have adapted that well to the pros. But yeah, I think I've done pretty well so far.
Tony said you've done a hell of a lot of round sparring with Ricky Burns, obviously former 3-weight world champion. What are the main things you've learned from those sessions?
It's sort of hard. Ricky ain't your usual like a stand-up boxer. He does a bit of everything, and if he can outbox you, he'll rough you up, and just little things on the inside that you don't really come across when you're sparring inexperienced fighters or people that are coming up or whatever. But he's been there, he's done it, 3-weight world champion like you said, and I've learned so much, even just because I live with him, so just how he lives his day-to-day life, is just his whole professionalism, how he goes about his business, and I've just learned so much from him, and being around all the other boys, the young lads, they're all hungry. So having Ricky Burns' experience, and then you've got the likes of John Ryder, who's on the verge of a world title, Martin Ward on the verge of a world title shot, and then you've got Ted, Felix, Connor, you've got all the boys here, John Doherty, another one coming through, Charles Frankham. So we're all...
I think you just about named everyone there.
I had to.
You had to think about that, didn't you?
Yeah, I know one of them would have come at me if they seen this, but yeah, it's just great. I love it.
And just before we let you go, for people that haven't seen you box before, I think it's unlikely at this stage, but if they haven't, what can they expect from you next week?
Explosive performance.
Brilliant. All right, well, we really appreciate your time. We look forward to seeing you work out shortly.